I'm David Marcus of The Deal with Andy Levine, a partner at Jones Day in New York. Andy, good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
As you look out over the next decade, what do you see as the drivers of M&A activity on a global basis?
Well, I think when you're talking about that long of a time frame, you need to focus on macro issues and get away from some of the day-to-day issues we've been so focused on with in terms of what's driving M&A in 2014. So I'm thinking about things like globalization and the emergence of Africa as an investment opportunity. And so I think when you're thinking about those types of factors, the one for me at least that stands out as the one that has the opportunity to drive global M&A the most is China.
And certainly the Chinese have been very active in buying natural resources in Australia and to some extent Africa, but their M&A activity in the United States has been more controversial.
Yeah, and it's not to say that it hasn't happened. There has been a fair amount of of M&A investment into the United States over the past several years. It doubled last year. China is now the third largest global investor in terms of investing outside of the country. But there have been challenges in the U.S. And so while it's been a slow build, the logjam hasn't really broken yet.
And clearly CFIUS is a primary challenge, or perceived as a primary challenge, to Chinese M&A activity in the U.S. Could you offer your take on that issue?
Yeah, I mean, CFIUS has gotten a lot of play in the press and with Congress in terms of some of the higher profile deals. The good news, and there is a perception in China in particular that CFIUS is a hurdle and a roadblock for getting deals done in the United States. The good news is when you step back and actually look at how the government's been reviewing these transactions, CFIUS has been applied the way it's supposed to. The government really is looking at national security considerations. While there may have been a lot of press around the time of Smithfield that perhaps lunch meat was a national security concern, that got through relatively easily. Whereas a smaller deal, which would have a much less political or economic impact on the U.S., like the wind farm deal in Oregon, that was the one that got blocked, and it was because that property happened to be near a sensitive military site. So it's getting applied the way it's supposed to, and it's more of we need to get over the emotional hurdle or the concern of it being a problem, and once that happens, things are going to be fine.
So you're actually optimistic about the outlook for Chinese M&A activity in the U.S. over the coming years?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in 10 years from now, I'll be looking back on my career talking about how important China was the same way that the guys who are retiring were talking about the hostile takeover boom in the 80s.
Andy, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
For The Deal, I'm David Marcus.